This is your guide to dating and getting social in Montreal. Welcome back to Soul in the City and the Love Table. And joining me, co-host Erica Diamond.
Hey, Cheryl.
All right, so today we have two great guests on the show. And again, we're talking about spring cleaning and cleaning out our love lives. We're being joined by Deborah Rogers. She's a relationship expert and an award-winning author for a fantastic book called He Did You a Favor. It's a smart girl's guide to breaking up, waking up, and discovering the gift of you. Welcome to the show, Deborah.
Thank you for having me.
And I can't wait to talk about this all.
Deborah.
I got to introduce Ken, though.
Oh, my God, Deborah, that's just such a great title. I love that book. He did you a favor. That's great. It's so true sometimes.
And Ken Solin, he's an acclaimed author of Act Like a Man and The Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online. Welcome back to the show, Ken.
Thanks so much for having me today.
It's a pleasure having you. Last time we had you on, we talked about online dating, and now we're really going to get into the process of cleaning out our love lives and being fresh for this spring and the summer and attracting new love. So I really wanted actually to kind of dive in there right now with Deborah, with you about He Did You a Favor. You know, we're talking about, one of our other guests talked about breaking up to breaking through. And I loved what our earlier guest said. So tell us a little bit about why he did you a favor.
Well, he did me a favor because I grew into myself and I discovered who I really was and what I was really meant to do with my life. I was in a relationship where my husband actually left me at 8 months pregnant. And at the time, I had no job, I had no friends, and I had no life of my own. And so I went through a 5-year journey of recovery and self-discovery, and I'm now engaged to an amazing man who is the love of my life. And I have a career that is so unbelievable, and I have a beautiful daughter. So he did me a huge favor, and those are 3 very big favors.
And now, Ken, do you think that men go through the same type of emotional upheaval through a breakup? Because you are the expert on Act Like a Man. Do you think that they go vulnerable to that feeling of a breakup?
Sadly, no. The majority of men don't. The majority of men seem to... a woman friend of mine who's late 60s, who's dated for years, before meeting somebody, once asked me, why is it that men seem to just buzz like bees from one relationship to the next without taking a breath? And I said it's real simple, because they don't want to feel their pain. They don't know how to feel their pain. And many men feel that the next relationship, the woman in that relationship, will somehow magically get them past that bad feeling. Of course, it doesn't work that way, and all the same issues that were problematic in the last relationship generally are problematic in the next, and the poor woman is left thinking, wow, how did I get involved with this guy? So no, men don't do that for the most part.
You actually wrote that you say women build emotionally first to create a successful relationship, but that men focus on closing the relationship deal and then try to make a relationship work, right?
Yeah. I mean, women have a lifetime, especially women over 50, have a lifetime of friendships with other women where they talk incessantly about their issues, their emotional issues, their relationships, whatever it is. And men, for the most part, don't have those kind of relationships with other men. So women come into relationships with amazing relationship skills because of all those years. And, you know, in a lot of ways, I hate to say this, but in a lot of ways, women are just higher animals than men. Because they're
Yay, women.
Well, they're much more emotionally evolved. And I did work for years with men, trying to get men to wake up. And I got to be honest, guys in my generation at least, it's pretty futile. They just don't want to go there.
Deborah, first of all, Deborah, I want to talk about your book again. Deborah Rogers, she is the author of He Did You a Favor, and we're also talking with Ken Solin, the author of Act Like a Man and several other great publications. Deborah, so, in this process of thinking about cleaning up, what was the first thing that you had to, and you would suggest people to clean out of their closet, let's call it, to re-enter the dating world?
Well, I think, first of all, the most important thing is to let go of your emotional baggage. So many times we hang on to past pain. It's so important to let go of any of that fear, regret, guilt, or anger, to let go of any mistakes that we think that we made in the relationship. And He Did You a Favor, I talk about opportunity mistakes. And by taking the miss out of mistake, then we can learn and grow and move forward, as opposed to beating up our self-esteem with a 2x4. So letting go of the emotional baggage is very important. And also, it has to be said, can you not let go of your ex? It's so easy in this day of social media to hop onto Facebook or Instagram and kind of check out what they're doing and keep that line to your ex. And also, as time goes on, it's so easy to remember the good times and to forget the bad.
We do that even if you attend a funeral, we often deify a person. If the person wasn't really that kind of a person, we remember all the good. And I think that so often happens in relationships when we break up. We tend to remember the good, forget the bad. And that sometimes draws us back into a toxic relationship, friendship or relationship.
Well, let's also talk about the fact sometimes of what we have to add to our spring cleanup. Once we clean it up, we have to, buy new things. And one of them is allowing ourselves to be vulnerable as well. And I think with the vulnerability, when it's, a little bit on edge, we do tend to latch on to something that was good, to know that it was real. So what do you think, Ken, about this online part of it? Since, you did write that book, The Baby Boomer Guide to Finding True Love Online. Do you think one of the things people have to do is eliminate their ex from their online presence?
In fact, I also date coach. So one of the first things I tell my clients is, whatever you do when you meet somebody new for the first time, do not talk about your ex.
Oh, yeah, that's a no-no.
That's like a Seinfeld episode.
Well, I got to say, when I was dating, I met my partner 4 years ago online, but when I was dating, I met some women who immediately went into these rants about their ex-husbands, and I thought, gee, I don't think this person's ready to date.
Is that a turnoff? Just a personal question. That was a turnoff to you, right?
I mean,
it's a turnoff and run.
He got up and left. I'd say so. But it's really important to have. In fact, I wrote in my book. I wrote about the Boomer Guide. I wrote about not dating with a broken heart. If you went skiing, you broke your leg. You wouldn't even think about skiing again until your leg was completely healed. I mean, completely healed.
Great point.
You wouldn't even have to ask your doctor. But, you get your heart broken. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll get back on that horse again. No, you can't get back. It isn't like getting thrown from a horse. It's not like, getting fired from a job where you go back and find another job because you have to. This is different. This requires some reflection. And I think the reflection is partially, what did I do wrong in this relationship? So what can I learn about myself that I don't do this in the next relationship?
We have to break those patterns. That's what we have to do all the time, 100%. So Ken, we have to give people information of how they can contact you. Why don't you tell us your website?
It's www.kensolin.com.
And Deborah Rogers, the author of He Did You a Favor, how can people contact you?
At HeDidYouAFavor.com.
And I want to thank both of you for joining us today. It was so much fun and very inspirational and very informative as to how to clean up our love lives. Coming up next, I'll tell you where to see and be seen in Montreal this week. You're listening to Solo in the City on CJAD 800.